Former President Donald Trump had a meltdown following his attempts to bully former Georgia prosecutors during the 2020, or I should say, following the 2020 election. So he goes in, he tries to call Brad Raffensperger, or he calls Raffensperger and tries to bully him into changing the results. In fact, look, this, according to reports, former President Trump's lawyers had met with Fulton County Georgia prosecutors in a voter fraud probe. Now, that meeting involved phone calls, of course, that Trump made to the governor and Secretary of State, demanding that they change some of the results in order to, of course, give the state over to Donald Trump. In fact, I want to play you some of that infamous call. You probably all remember this, so this is kind of going to be old news, but just take a listen anyway.
In Fulton, where they dumped ballots, you will find that you have many that aren't even signed, and you have many that are forgeries, okay? You know that. You know that. You have no doubt about that. Of cheating, because they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before. The ballots are corrupt, and you're going to find that they are, which is totally illegal. It's more illegal for you than it is for them, because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have. So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
Give me a break, guys. Give me a break. I just need 11,000 votes. 11,780 votes. We just need to find them. I don't know. Go find them from somewhere. I don't care. Just give me the votes so that I can win. Because if you don't, it's very, very dangerous. Much crime. Wow. So now on that call, there were several people. Again, Brad Raffensperger. But there was also Georgia Secretary of State. I'm sorry, that is Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. But there's also Mark Meadows, who's the White House Chief of Staff. You had several lawyers, which included conservative attorney Clara Mitchell and Georgia-based attorney Kurt Hilbert. So now those two are actually going to be important to the story. In fact, Raffensperger also was joined by his office's general counsel, Ryan Germany, and Deputy Secretary of State, Jordan Fuchs. So now I talked about that guy yesterday. So here are the lawyers, right? So you got some attorneys, you got some experts here. And so in the conversation that they had, and if you've listened to the whole thing, you probably already are quite familiar with the conversation they had, how they were all basically pushing back and saying, oh, no, the stuff that you found is nonsense. We can't find anything to justify taking away any of these votes for Joe Biden and just giving them to you. In fact, I've got more of that.
And I think it's extremely unfortunate that Rudy Giuliani or his people, they sliced and diced that video and took it out of context. So the next day we brought in WSB TV and we let them see the full run of tape. And what you'll see, the events that transpired are nowhere near what was projected by. We did an audit of that, and we proved conclusively that they were not scanned 3 times.
Well, where was everybody else at that late time in the morning?
President, we'll send you the link from WSB that does.
I don't care about a link. I don't need it. I have a much better link.
I will tell you, I've seen the tape, the full tape. So has Alex. We've watched it. And what we saw and what we've confirmed in the timing is that they made everybody leave. We have sworn affidavits saying that. And then they began to process ballots. And our estimate is that there were roughly 18,000 ballots. We don't know that. If you know that.
There was 18,000 ballots, but they used each one 3 times.
Well,
so
I don't know about that, but I know.
Well, I do because we had ours magnified out.
If you have additional records, we've been asking for that. But you haven't shared any of that with us. You just keep saying you've been.
A lot of it you don't need to be shared. I mean, to be honest, they should share it.
All right, so these prosecutors, and these officials are like, hey, we just want to have evidence. If you have something, please give it to us, right? Please give it to us, because we want the information that you have. If you have something that's going to help your case, show us the evidence. And now that's the thing that we've been asking for a very, very long time, right? So you're going out there and you're making all these extraordinary claims. Oh, dead people are voting, this and that. They're scanning the ballots 3 times. And it's like, okay, well, we have one simple ask. If you're that concerned about democracy, hell, we all are. We all should be, of course. Just show us the evidence. You show us the evidence. Well, I don't have to show you the evidence. And Mike Pillow, I mean, I'm not going to show you the evidence. No, I'm not going to because they're going to shut it down. That's what's going to happen. And then, of course, Donald Trump, I don't have to show you. No, you don't have to see it. So this entire thing is just trust me, man. No, that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. And so now, the reason that that's important and that I show you that, right, and that I just kind of remind you of the video and how there was some actually pretty aggressive pushback is that afterwards, in December of 2021, Trump puts out a statement. It's rather unhinged. And this is what it read. Now, these are, again, this is about the meeting between Trump's lawyers and Fulton County prosecutors. Trump railed against these unspecified prosecutors, saying, quote, all the Democrats want to do is put people in jail. They are vicious, violent, and radical left thugs. They are destroying people's lives, which is the only thing they're good at. So now we know that at least from that tape, the different prosecutors and people that he's talked to, again, in this case, Brad Raffensperger is a Republican. Clinton Mitchell is conservative. I don't know about Hilbert's politics. I know obviously Mark Meadows is a conservative. But here's the thing. Even if some of the lawyers, some of them were Democrats, did any of them sound like violent, left-wing, radical thugs? No. No. What they were doing is pushing back with factual information. Because they're saying, look, you keep saying these things. Show us the evidence. Show us the documentation. Find us something, and we'll look into it. Of course we'll look into it. We're Republicans, right? Otherwise, we have found no issues with this election at all. But that was enough to make Trump melt down into a frothy rage. And so now I believe we know who these prosecutors are, and why he was so angry and why he would put out these things. And why that's important, by the way, is that, of course, this whips up the base. And this makes it so that the people who listen to Trump don't believe anything that comes out of Arizona or Georgia or any of these states where people have, based on factual information, pushed back against the claims made by Trump and the right wing, or I should say in his right wing followers that are pushing the big lie. And so they're stoking this anger, and what they're doing is not only doing, of course, division, but they're also showing a lot of distrust in our institutions. Now that's obviously going to come back, I think, and bite them in the ass when it comes the next elections. Because if you have a big majority of Republicans that don't believe in the political process, well, there's 2 things that's going to happen. And number one, they're just not going to be a part of the political process. I'm actually fine with that. You don't want to vote? Okay, that's fine. Whatever. Stay out of the political process if that's what you choose. But what's more concerning is the second possibility. And that's what we already saw on January 6th. Violence. You now have violence because you have people that are concerned, that say that they're concerned, because they believe that the elections are all rigged, because they've been told by Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and all these right-wing figures, well, you can't trust the elections, you can't trust institutions, and there's only one way to combat that and take our country back, and that's by force of arms. And so that's the big problem here. And that's the problem with these rages. And that's the issue, and that's why it's important not only to, of course, debunk the lies, but also to go after these influencers on the right wing, these hosts on the right wing, cable hosts, that are spreading these nonsense conspiracies and whipping people up. I mean, you've got to try to attack it at the source to try to stop these lies from propagating and to whipping people up into violence over no reason. And of course, you also have to work on getting people to trust institutions again, but that would actually involve getting the institutions to actually work for regular people again. And that's admittedly a much more difficult job. But right now, we're pretty much in the first phase is just combating the massive amounts of disinformation that's coming out. And it is good to know that there are Republicans and conservatives at the local levels that are still, at least privately, pushing back and saying, actually, no, this big lie stuff, it's not true at all.